News Hour. I am Tanziba Nouri. In today's bulletin, we will get you detailed news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband beaten by assailant in family home. US to send Ukraine additional $275 million in military aid. Biden to vote early in Delaware with his granddaughter. Biden to travel to New Mexico days before midterm election. Deaths of 8 in Oklahoma home investigated as murder-suicide. Hand vote count on hold after Nevada High Court says illegal. First ever female commissioner to lead NYC Fire Department. Miami Beach condo building evacuated near deadly collapse. Tom Brady, Gisele Bündchen announced divorce after 13 years. Ukraine attacks Russia's hold on southern city of Kherson. North Korea fires missiles towards sea as US warns over nukes. At least 42 dead in floods, landslides in South Philippines. Shanghai district orders mass COVID-19 testing lockdown. Czechs rally to demand resignation of pro-Western government. Knife attack in Italy kills one owned soccer player and others. And Jackson shines, Ravens beat Brady, struggling Bucks 27-22. Now news in detail. Paul Pelosi, the husband of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, was attacked and severely beaten by an assailant with a hammer who broke into their San Francisco home early Friday, according to people familiar with the investigation. Pelosi, 82 years old, suffered blunt force injuries to his head and body, according to two people who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity to discuss the ongoing probe. The intruder who attacked House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband in their San Francisco home was searching for the Democratic leader, shouting, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" before assaulting Paul Pelosi with a hammer. The attack was not random. The assailant specifically targeted the home, the people said. The assailant was in custody. Pelosi was being treated by doctors for bruising, severe swelling, and other injuries. Nancy Pelosi's spokesman, Drew Hamill, said he was expected to make a full recovery. The speaker and her family are grateful to the first responders and medical professionals involved and request privacy at this time, Hamill said in a statement. While the circumstances of the attack are unclear, the attack raises questions about the safety of members of Congress and their families as threats to lawmakers are at an all-time high almost 2 years after the deadly Capitol insurrection. The attack also comes just 11 days ahead of midterm elections in which crime and public safety have emerged as top concerns among Americans. The Pentagon is sending Ukraine a new $275 million package of weapons and other aid in a move to bolster the effort to drive Russian forces out of key areas in the south as the winter closes in, US officials said Thursday. Officials said there are no major new weapons in the US package. Instead, the US aid is largely aimed at restocking thousands of rounds of ammunition for weapons systems already there, including for the high mobility artillery rocket systems known as HIMARS, which Ukraine has been successfully using in its counter-offensive against Russia. The officials spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss details of a package not yet made public. The new aid comes as federal officials made public the US government's efforts to ensure that weaponry transferred to Ukraine doesn't end up in the hand of Russian troops, their proxies or other extremist groups. The plan, announced by the State Department on Thursday, notes that accounting for weapons is particularly difficult during an active war and when there is no major US presence on the ground. President Joe Biden will cast his midterm election ballot this weekend in his home state of Delaware, where in-person early voting begins Friday. The White House said Biden will vote alongside his granddaughter Natalia, 18 years old, who is a first-time voter. The Democratic president is casting his ballot as his party is facing an uphill battle to hold on to control of Congress and as Democrats have made a priority of encouraging their supporters to vote early in jurisdictions where it is available to maximize turnout. Biden's trip to his polling place comes as he is spending a long weekend at his Wilmington home. He made a brief trip to nearby Philadelphia on Friday night to attend an event for the Pennsylvania Democratic Party with Vice President Kamala Harris. A Democratic official said the fundraiser will raise $1 million for the state party, with Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman in a close race against GOP nominee Dr. Mehmet Oz for a critical US Senate seat. President Joe Biden is set to travel to New Mexico next week, days before the November 8 midterm elections. The White House in a statement said Biden will take part in events with Democratic Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, who is trying to win a second term in next month's election, and other state and local officials. Biden's scheduled visit to New Mexico comes after Vice President Kamala Harris traveled to Albuquerque last week to campaign with Lujan Grisham. The New Mexico governor is facing the GOP nominee Mark Ronchetti. The former TV meteorologist outpaced Donald Trump on the 2020 ballot as a Senate candidate but still finished with less than 46% of the vote. The deaths of 8 people, including 6 children, found in a burning Oklahoma home are being investigated as a murder-suicide, with both adults considered suspects, authorities said Friday. The children, who ranged in age from 1 to 13, were the victims, Broken Arrow Police Chief Brandon Berryhill said during a news conference. He did not provide their identities, ages, or explain their relationships to one another. Police have not responded to calls and questions sent by email. The causes of death are still under investigation, but Broken Arrow Fire Department Chief Jeremy Moore said it doesn't appear that anyone died because of the fire. Guns were recovered from the home, the police chief said. The fire was reported about 4 p.m. Thursday in a quiet residential area of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, 13 miles southeast of Tulsa. Crews who responded found 2 adults dead in the front of the house with injuries that appeared to be criminal in nature, Moore said. The children were found dead in another area of the home, he said. An unprecedented hand count of mail-in ballots in a rural Nevada county is on hold and may not resume after the Nevada Supreme Court said in an after-hours ruling the current process is illegal and the Republican Secretary of State directed the county clerk to cease immediately. Volunteers in rural Nye County had wrapped up a second day of hand counting the ballots on Thursday by the time the Supreme Court issued a 3-page opinion siding with objections raised by the American Civil Liberties Union of Nevada. Secretary of State Barbara Segafsky, who is in charge of elections and has been one of the GOP's most vocal critics of the sort of voter fraud conspiracy theories that fueled the hand tallying of ballots, said the hand counting process must cease immediately. She requested in a letter to Nye County Clerk Mark Kemp that he confirmed to her office Thursday night that the hand count process had been stopped. New York City Mayor Eric Adams on Thursday appointed Acting Fire Commissioner Laura Kavanagh to lead the department on a permanent basis, making her the first female commissioner in the 157-year history of the Fire Department of New York. Kavanagh, 40 years old, has served as acting commissioner since the retirement of Commissioner Danielle Negro in February. She will oversee a department of 17,000, including firefighters and emergency medical workers. Her appointment as commissioner represents progress for a department seeking to diversify after decades as a white male bastion. As of August, there were 141 female firefighters in the FDNY. The most since a lawsuit forced the department to hire women as firefighters in the 1980s. Kavanagh has never been a firefighter herself. She was a senior advisor to former Mayor Bill de Blasio and a campaign staffer for de Blasio and former President Barack Obama before joining the department in an administrative role in 2014. She was named first deputy commissioner in 2018. As first deputy commissioner and acting commissioner, Kavanagh oversaw the department's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and its response to tragedies including a bronze fire that killed 90. She is a graduate of Whittier College in California and has a master's degree in public administration from Columbia University. An evacuation order has abruptly forced out residents of a 14-story oceanfront building on the same avenue where a condominium collapse killed nearly 100 people last year. The city posted an unsafe structure notice Thursday evening at the Port Royal condominium. Miami Beach spokesperson Melissa Berthier said in an email. A structural engineering report prompted the evacuation of the 164-unit structure, which is in the process of undergoing a required recertification. An engineer discovered that a main support beam identified for repair 10 months ago had shifted and that a crack in the beam had expanded, and other structural supports may need repair as well, the report said. At least one observer said the damage extends beyond a single support beam. Inspection Engineers Incorporation said in a letter to the city that it's working to obtain a city permit so that comprehensive shoring can be installed within 10 days. That will be followed by another inspection of the building, which was constructed in 1971. Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen have finalized their divorce, they announced Friday, ending the 13-year marriage between two superstars who respectively reached the pinnacles of fashion and football. Brady and Bündchen posted statements on Instagram late Friday morning, each saying they had amicably reached the decision. The announcement landed in the midst of Brady's 23rd NFL season and just months after the 7-time Super Bowl champion put an end to his short-lived retirement. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback, who had long stated a desire to spend more time with Bündchen and his 3 children, announced his departure from the game in February, only to change his mind 40 days later. Now it's time for global updates. Ukrainian forces attacked Russia's hold on the southern city of Kherson on Thursday, while fighting intensified in the country's east. The battles came amid reports that Moscow-appointed authorities have abandoned the city, joining tens of thousands of residents who fled to other Russia-held areas. Ukrainian forces were surrounding Kherson from the west and attacking Russia's foothold on the west bank of the Dnieper River, which divides the region and the country. As the battles unfolded, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that Moscow has no intention to use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, despite issuing repeated warnings in the past that he was prepared to use all available means to defend Russia, including its nuclear arsenal. We see no need for that, Putin said at a conference of international foreign policy experts outside Moscow. There is no point in that, neither political nor military. The Russian leader, who insisted for weeks before the invasion that he did not intend to attack Ukraine, also sought to case the conflict as part of efforts by the West to secure global domination. He accused the US and its allies of trying to dictate their terms to other nations in a dangerous and bloody domination game. North Korea fired two short-range ballistic missiles toward the sea on Friday in its first ballistic weapons launches in 2 weeks, as the US military warned the North that the use of nuclear weapons will result in the end of that regime. South Korea's military detected the two launches from the North's eastern coastal Tongchon area around midday on Friday, Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff said in a statement. It said both missiles flew about 230 kilometers at a maximum altitude of 24 kilometers. The statement said South Korea strongly condemns the launches, calling them a grave provocation that undermines regional peace and violates UN Security Council resolutions banning any ballistic activities by North Korea. The US Indo-Pacific Command said the launches highlighted the destabilizing impact of North Korea's illicit nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs. The Japanese Defense Ministry said it also detected the launches and that the type of missiles used and their flight information were still being analyzed. South Korea's foreign ministry said its top nuclear envoy held separate phone talks with his US and Japanese counterparts soon after the launches. It said the three agreed to strengthen trilateral coordination on North Korea while repeating their calls for the North to stop weapons tests and return to talks. Flash floods and landslides set off by torrential rains swamped a southern Philippine province, killing at least 42 people, leaving 16 others missing and trapping some residents on their roofs, officials said Friday. Most of the victims were swept away by rampaging floodwaters and drowned or were hit by debris-filled mudslides in 3 towns in hard-hit Maguindanao province, said Naguib Sinarimbo, the interior minister for a 5-province Muslim autonomous region run by former guerrillas. The unusually intense rains were triggered by tropical storm Nelke, which was expected to slam into the country's eastern coast from the Pacific Ocean on Saturday, forecasters said. The stormy weather prompted the Coast Guard to prohibit sea travel in dangerously rough seas as millions of Filipinos planned to travel over a long weekend to visit the tombs of relatives and for family reunions on All Saints' Day in the largely Roman Catholic nation. China's largest city of Shanghai is ordering mass testing Friday of all 1.3 million residents of its downtown Yangpu district and confining them to their homes at least until results are known. The demand is an echo of measures ordered over the summer that led to a 2-month lockdown of the entire city of 25 million that devastated its economy, prompting food shortages and rare confrontations between residents and the authorities. At the start of the lockdown, authorities said it would last just days but then kept extending the deadline. China has shown no sign of backing away from its hardline zero-COVID policy since a major congress of the ruling Communist Party concluded this week by awarding authoritarian leader Xi Jinping a third 5-year term in power and packed top bodies with his loyalists. Strict measures have been imposed across the country, from Shanghai in the east to Tibet far to the west, where anti-lockdown protests have also been reported. Tens of thousands of Czechs used a national holiday Friday to rally in the capital against the pro-Western government and its support for Ukraine's fight against the Russian invasion. The rally follows 2 others at Prague's central Wenceslas Square and was smaller than the 70,000 who gathered for the same reasons on September 3rd, according to police estimates. held under the slogan "The Czech Republic First," a reference to former US President Donald Trump's nationalist platform. The protest united the far right with the far left and various fringe groups. Its organizers are known for pro-Russian views and opposition to COVID-19 vaccines. With soaring energy, food and housing prices hitting the country, the protesters were demanding the resignation of the coalition government led by Conservative Prime Minister Petr Fiala. "Resign," they chanted while waving the national flags. The protesters have repeatedly condemned the government for its support of Ukraine and the European Union sanctions against Russia, opposed Czech membership in the EU, NATO and other international organizations such as the United Nations and the World Health Organization. A man grabbed a knife from a supermarket shelf Thursday and stabbed 5 people, killing one and wounding 4 others, including Spanish soccer player Pablo Mari, Italian authorities said. Police arrested a 46-year-old Italian man suspected in the attack at a shopping center in Assago, a suburb of Milan, Carabinieri said. A supermarket employee died en route to the hospital, according to the news agency ANSA, which said 3 other victims were in serious condition. Another person was treated for shock but not hospitalized, police said. The motive for the attacks was unknown, but police said the man showed signs of being psychologically unstable. There were no elements to suggest terrorism. Murray, who is on loan to the Syria club Monza from Arsenal, was among the wounded. Arsenal said in a statement that Murray was at the hospital but was not seriously hurt. Now a look of today's sports story. The Baltimore Ravens finally have a winning streak. Lamar Jackson threw for 238 yards and a pair of second-half touchdowns, and the Ravens rallied Thursday night for a 27-22 win over Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, giving Baltimore consecutive victories for the first time this season. Brady, on the other hand, finds himself riding a 3-game skid for the first time since 2002, the 7-time Super Bowl champions' first year as a full-time starter for the New England Patriots. Jackson completed all 8 of his passes after halftime, and the Ravens finished with 231 yards after only running the ball 7 times in the first 2 quarters. Now let's have a look on today's weather chart. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.